You're listening to a 3CR podcast recorded in the 3CR Community Radio Studio in Melbourne, Australia. If you like what you hear, please consider donating or subscribing so we can keep bringing you more independent community content. For more information, go to 3cr.org.au.
Slavery is back.
Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. And a warning that this episode of Doin Time may contain audio images of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have died and graphic discussion of deaths in custody. This is Marisa and I will be with you for the next hour. Joining us on the show, I am delighted to welcome Commissioner Sue-Ann Hunter, and it's Yoorrook's Deputy Chair Commissioner, as I said, Sue-Ann Hunter, a proud Wurundjeri and Nurigi Ulam Wurrung woman, and I will have her speak about specifics of her land when the time comes. The Doin Time show is here today to keep listeners up to date on Victoria's truth-telling process. Commissioner Hunter will give a general update on what Yoorrook is and where it's up to, overview of the Land Injustice Inquiry, and hearings were just wrapped up. Overview of the Land Injustice Inquiry will also talk about other issues related to that, and also how listeners can take part by making a submission. After that, we will hear from Kalyani Impakama, Coordinator of the Tamil Refugee Council, and she is a passionate advocate for refugee rights and human rights issues. Kalyani will talk about the so-called fast-track system and looking at the encampment of what's happening with refugees and asylum seekers, and a little bit about the human rights of asylum seekers and Tamils in particular. Look, we'll just launch into it. Hello, Sue-Ann. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Marisa. How are you?
Lovely to have you. Yeah, good. I've just had a bit of a freeze on my computer device. Not sure what's going on today. We've got gremlins in the studio, I think.
Oh, no stress at all. I've been on a few times, so I think people know who I am.
You have, and I mean, we've just had such a wonderful time, haven't we? Like, you've done a lot of really extensive and really important coverage, haven't you, on the Yoorrook Commission?
Yeah, and look, it's been fabulous that you guys there have taken the time out to hear what we're doing and what we're up to, and just to inform communities about the truth-telling process in Victoria. So, you know, we thank you for that.
Oh, that's lovely. Can you just tell us specifically what land you're on, Sue-Ann?
I'm on my land, the lands of the Wurundjeri. So I'm in...
That's beautiful. And what land do you come from?
So I am Wurundjeri and Nurigi Ulam Wurrung, although I mention them because they are no longer, and so I remember them to honour them daily.
Fantastic. So can you tell us what's happening with the Yoorrook Commission? I believe there have been some hearings that have wrapped up.
Yeah, our hearings recently wrapped up for our social... So I think I spoke to you maybe about the land injustice, and then
yes.
We had our social injustice hearings.
That's right.
So they wrapped up a little while ago, and we had I think it was across 6 weeks we had at least a minimum of 70 witnesses. That includes First Peoples leaders, experts and community members, as well as government ministers, church groups and university representatives. So it was a range of people, and what we covered was health, housing, education, socioeconomic disadvantage or, socioeconomic life. And I'm probably missing something in there, but it was just a social sort of injustice themes, if you want to call it that, of where our people have quite huge disparity.
And I've just found all my notes. Let's celebrate. You're amazing. Yoorrook is Australia's first formal truth-telling process, isn't it? And is Indigenous-led, with 4 out of 5 commissioners being First Peoples. And that includes 3 Victorian traditional owners, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Can you give us a little bit of history about that?
So the traditional owners are the chair, Arnie Burke-Eleanor, who's Wamba Wamba, and then you have Travis Lovett, another commissioner, who is Gunditjmara. And so we're the first formal truth-telling body, so we're a royal commission, which means we can compel people to come to the stand and also for government to give us documents. But we're the first Aboriginal-led royal commission in this country it's ever been. And we are the first formal truth-telling body. And can I just acknowledge that on that point, that today is 1 year since the failed referendum. And so we can see that Victoria is still alive and standing, even though we have voice, truth and treaty here. So I just want to point that out a bit.
Tell us more about the aftermath of the referendum in terms of truth-telling and your reflections on that.
Look, I think the referendum result wasn't surprising at all, given our history and the way the past is told. I think, there was permission there was a permission, sort of an underlying permission given to people to be racist and blatantly racist. But what it's also shown is that we need to have our people's truth thought out. What come through the referendum was that people didn't understand. So we can't change the past, but we can learn about what really happened to First People. And I think once you know, you can't ignore it, you can't look away from it. And then you can understand why we want change and why we keep pushing for change. And I mean, the listeners and you would know that the disparities or the disadvantage with First Peoples, I'm going to say it again because I've already said it, that our children are 22 times more likely to be placed in out-of-home care. And as adults, we're 15 times more likely to end up in prison. And the gap's widening. Our women are 33 times more likely to be hospitalised from family violence incidents. And we're 10 times more likely to access homelessness services. Now, when we look at the truth of the past, you can understand why and how we're at those disparities today.
Absolutely. And so, moving forward, I mean, it was a lot of trauma, wasn't it, for Aboriginal elders and First Nations communities that there was no vote. But we have to keep moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, that's totally correct. I mean, we need to change, and that's what Yoorrook's about. We want to change legislation and laws, things that created stolen generations, the way people took our land and the minerals from that land. Now, we want to change legislation. We want to, and that's why the truth telling is so important, because that's the evidence behind the systemic injustice that happened and how we make recommendations. And I also don't want people to think that Yoorrook is a Royal Commission where the end report and all the recommendations are going to sit on a shelf. Here in Victoria, we have the First Peoples Assembly who also get recommendations to be able to negotiate into the treaty process and push forward for our people. I think the biggest point is when we change laws and policies, we don't just change them for First Peoples, we change them for all Victorians to make it a better and equitable system.
Absolutely. And in June 2024, the Commission held social justice hearings, didn't it, looking at the systemic injustices faced by First Peoples in the education, health and housing systems?
Yeah, that's correct. We heard how, violence, discrimination and racism brought by colonisation and perpetuated through the protection legislation continues today through all of those systems. There was a lot about racism. Systemic racism, really, and how we're excluded. I guess we had Dr. Maddie Keane, and she talked about how Victoria's curriculum has been, potent and favoured tool of government to legitimise the position as members of the British Empire and Commonwealth. We heard an Aboriginal young person, Elias Jarvis, the gaslighting low expectations of Aboriginal children when they're students. We also heard, from ministers. So Minister for Health, Marianne Thomas, she accepted that the Victorian Health Service was not culturally safe places for First Peoples in the state, and that racism in hospitals was at a crisis point. So we had some admissions. So if they've admitted and they've said sorry, then we want action. We want to see action. I think that's the good thing that we've got to rely on now is ministers coming forward and really stating that they understand the state of play now. And so they need to change that, and they need to have a look at our recommendations and really favour them and start to move forward.
What would be an example of a recommendation?
Well, we can't preempt the recommendations, but there will be some stuff around racism, particularly, because that's through every system. There will be around housing, health. Look, I'm going to just say we can't preempt, and we're in the process of writing that report. But what I can say is we've all heard this before. The thing the Commission has now is the evidence to back it up, to make those recommendations, and then we need to see the government act on those recommendations. But again, we have the First Peoples Assembly to negotiate those through a treaty process.
So just to update listeners, so basically what Commissioner Hunter's talking about is the Commission's final report and the official public record, which is only in draft stage at the moment.
Yes, that's correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in June 2024, sorry that we've already discussed that, but I want to move on now to the recent hearings that have happened, and I believe that one of them was about the descendants in September. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we certainly can. So we had three or maybe four, and I'll just go through who they were. There was Katrina Kell, and she was a fourth generational descendant of Captain James Liddell. Now, James Liddell was the captain of a ship that brought Edward Henship to Gunditjmara country in November 1834 on a boat called the Thistle. So she was quite distressed to understand her descendants' involvement and what happened there. But these are on our website if people want to go and have a look. There was Peter Sharp, and this was pretty hit home for me, just my background in child protection.
Good,
He was a great-grandson of former Prime Minister Alfred Deakin. And so he researched Deakin's involvement in the passage of the Aboriginal Protection Act in 1886, and that's more commonly known as the Half-Caste Act, which was the act that gave the power to remove Aboriginal children from their family. And so Mr. Sharp formally apologised to First Peoples affected by that act, and we know that act was the start of the stolen generation. So that's worth having a look at and watching. I was just amazed at the evidence and the history sort of piece that he'd done. And then the last one was Elizabeth Boulderstone, and she currently owns a property in Gippsland, and on that property is the Warrigal Creek Massacre site, which occurred in 1843. She has said her family would be very happy to hand back traditional ownership if requested, and she's worked with traditional owners and opens that site to them and tries to honour that site as much as she can. She gave a very compelling testimony as well.
So what did that, in practice, it's a good thing, isn't it? Because you've got the descendants having a look at what happened.
Well, coming forward and really saying this is in our family and this isn't good enough. And I think that was, I don't want to say the word brave because we are looking at First Peoples of what was done, but to reckon with the past, to face the atrocities that happened and knowing that it's your descendant, and then coming forward and telling that story, I think, helped our people understand and come together a bit more, because this isn't just about us as First Peoples. This is about the injustices that happened to us. And everybody wants to write about us, but I think it's more about how this happened, what that looks like, and who did it. And part of our terms of reference is to have a look what happened and who did this and how we address and redress that.
Absolutely. And would you say that, reconciliation, the word reconciliation, would you... I don't know. Look, we all have takes on it, but I think since the referendum, I think it's got a different undertone. I don't... there's something we need to do, and I just like to say we need to reckon with the past. Absolutely.
And we can't change it.
Yep.
But how do we understand the full story of our shared history? Because it's shared. It's not First Peoples and it's not non-First Peoples. It's our shared history. And understand why we need change. So I don't know whether it's, if you want to call that reconciliation, but I think...
Unity.
There is another word for it, but we need justice as well for First Peoples. And we need to make... How do we make this that we're all on a level playing field, so to speak?
Absolutely.
And we can only do that with truth and justice, and that's what this commission is about.
Because reconciliation means that everybody's done something wrong.
Correct.
And that's not really true.
Well, I think, I guess people are saying, what are you looking at? And I say systemic injustices in the commission. And so I do like to put it that the system has done this, and I know there's people behind the system, but I think if we say the systems and how do we change them, it takes it away personally from people.
Correct.
And it puts it on the system, and people can actually start to look at that in a different light, and in doing that start looking at their own history, which we all have to do at some point because we all play a part in this state's history.
Exactly. And you know that saying, the people united shall never be defeated.
Yes, there you go. You're a union member, no.
Well, Australia is complicit in genocide, and we do need to, address all these systemic issues. Like our show covers a lot of things, Aboriginal deaths in custody and lots of things really, and looking a lot at the inequalities in the child protection system and the criminalisation of youth.
Yeah.
So
we've done a lot of that, and I think until people say we've heard a lot about it, but nothing's changed. So until something's changed, people are still going to hear about it. And congratulations on your show for bringing these injustices to light, which a lot of people don't want to do because it's painful and it's ugly. But good on you guys for doing that.
Well, I just think that there's a terrible silence within the media. I mean, I've actually listened to quite a few of the hearings, and they're very, very powerful testimony. And I think it's a national disgrace that the media doesn't cover a lot of stuff about this.
Well, it's not very happy, is it?
No, but you know what? We can't be as happy as can be, can we? We have to confront it. So the commission was initially given a 3-year term, which was extended to 4 years. So this will end on the 30th of June, 2025. Can you tell listeners how to do a submission and what's involved in that?
You can get online and it'll tell you everything you need to know on there. You can submit it through the portal online, or you can give us a call and someone can help you. But it's only up till November 22 is our submission, because we do have to have a cut-off date. But I'll just say to people, it doesn't need to be this long, exhaustive book that you need to write, dot points, dance, song, videotape yourself on your phone, audio record yourself on your phone. We've got all this technology, let's access it. And it doesn't need to be specifically about a certain area. It's just whatever the injustices that's happened, or can I just say, we want to hear more about resilience too, and awakening of culture and what that looks like and how you keep that together. So we're open to all submissions until November 22nd.
Beautiful. So what does it look like until next year? I know there's a draft report happening, so have all the hearings finished? Will there be more?
There may be more at this point, just depending on some legalities and things that are happening. we are very much in draft of writing a very big report, which we really want to do justice for First Peoples in this state. We're asking people to still come forward and tell their truths. We may have some people giving more apologies as well. We are trying to get the public record written as we speak as well, what that looks like through the voices of First Peoples. And I'm just going to say to people, don't be a bystander. Look on our website. We still want to get out there. I'm going to give your listeners homework. Get online and have a look where, how, when you can be involved, because we still be having events, going out talking about it. We should be really proud in this state that we're the first state to do this. We've got voice, truth and treaty, and we really want people to understand what it is and how they can be a part of it.
Absolutely. So what about, without wanting to pry, although I just think it's really important maybe, Sue-Ann, if you just share with listeners a little bit about your personal story and what made you want to become a commissioner.
Well, that's a bit of a story in itself. I have over 20 years within the child and family welfare sector, particularly VACA, where I work, and SNAKE, I work there as well. I'm a social worker by trade, and I did that whilst working at VACA, and I'm a single mum as well. And so I really looked at the healing aspect and the trauma. So I've really honed in on those sorts of areas and really working with our kids on what healing looks like. Currently doing my PhD around cultural safety in primary schools as well. And I just wanted something, this is big, and I wanted to be able to be part of, I guess, the process in how we hold people. But it's actually turned into a lot more than that, and a total honour to be able to hear and hold space for people to tell their truth. And look, I've learned so much from Mob in doing this, and I feel, when you look back and you go, how did I get here? I just have been blessed, and I just think I really want what's best for Mob, and I just work really hard at doing that. And I think for me, it's all about the next generations to come. How do we put them in a space where they don't have to deal with what we did? And this was the best space to get change that I could think of.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so important, isn't it? It's to be able to engage in that healing.
Yeah, it's really important. Look, one thing that's really opened my eyes is done in so many different ways by so many different people that we have these amazing networks of people, and even some people just want to tell their story and then they say, no, that's yours now, bub. And they say, I'm fine, you have the burden. And I just never thought that would happen, but that happens more than you think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's approximately 4:23, and in case people have just tuned in, this is the Doin Time show on 3CR, and you're listening to an extended interview with Commissioner Hunter, who's reflecting on the significance of truth-telling and the Yoorrook Commission and what direction we're going in. So, is there anything else that you want to add before we finish?
Yeah, I can't say this enough. Get on the Yoorrook Justice website and, just have a look around, read some submissions, have a look. If you don't want to read, then we've got our hearings on there, so get on there and have a look and be part of it. And we are still open for submissions at the moment, so I really encourage, First People, not only just First Peoples, but, all Victorians to come and be part of history and part of telling the public record around this state.
It's so important, isn't it?
You get one chance at this, and this is our chance, and I just don't want people to regret not coming and telling their truth. And we do have social emotional wellbeing support and legal support for First Peoples as well.
Sue-Ann, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I'm hoping we can have you back again very soon.
You certainly can. I love this show, and I thank you for having these yarns with us, because it just tells more people about what we're doing.
For sure. And a cheerio out to Evan as well for helping to organise this interview as well.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
All right. Well, thank you so much, and take care of yourself and keep up the beautiful work that you're doing.
Thanks so much, Marisa, and you take care.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
And that was an extended interview with Commissioner Hunter, who was talking about the Yoorrook Commission and where it is going, and looking also at the anniversary of the referendum and the aftermath of the truth-telling process.
Latin American Solidarity Network, LASNET, together with other organisations, are hosting the Solidarity Gathering Conference, Tejiendo Rebeldías, to build bridges of struggle between Indigenous and grassroots communities. The gathering will be held on the 17th to the 20th of October at the Institute of Post-Colonial Studies in North Melbourne. There'll be plenary sessions, workshops, documentaries, photo exhibitions and information stalls, with discussion topics including resistance of Indigenous peoples, sovereignty and self-determination, militarisation, colonialism, advances of extractivism, and our visions of emancipatory futures. For more information, please visit LASNET's Facebook page or call 0425 539 149. Latin American Solidarity Network is a 3CR supporter.
Keffiyehs are Palestinian scarves, and they're a symbol of support for justice for the Palestinian people. From the traditional black and white keffiyeh to an array of modern designs, explore the range and order online or drop by 3CR during business hours. Wear your support for the rights of Palestinians. Go to keffiyehs.org.au, that's KUFIYAS.org.au. A 3CR supporter.
And you're back with the Doin Time show. And we are going to be speaking with our next guest now, very soon. I just wanted to give a quick introduction. We'll be speaking with Kaliani Impakama, and she's a passionate advocate for refugee rights and human justice. Kaliani is the coordinator of the Tamil Refugee Council. She works closely with the Tamil Refugee Council in New South Wales, where she plays a pivotal role in supporting and advocating for Tamil refugees. Her commitment to justice stems from a deep understanding of the struggles faced by the Tamil people, particularly following the 1983 pogrom in Sri Lanka, which marked a turning point in the ongoing genocide against the Tamil community. Kaliani is a driving force behind initiatives that raise awareness of refugee issues in New South Wales and beyond. She is dedicated to exposing the human rights violations in Sri Lanka, where the Tamil people have endured 76 years of persecution. Her tireless advocacy brings attention to the atrocities faced by the Tamil community, seeking both justice and international recognition of their plight. Through her leadership at the Tamil Refugee Council, Kaliani ensures that the Tamil cause remains visible on the global stage. Her work is instrumental in striving for justice, support and lasting change for the Tamil people, amplifying their voices and ensuring that their struggle for recognition and justice is never forgotten. So I'd like to welcome Kaliani to the show now. And as I said in my introduction at the beginning, we'll be talking about the recent announcement in regards to art, the admin stuff in regards to Fast Track, which does bring some positives, but we'll talk about that, or the encampment, and also a little bit about her. Hello, Kaliani. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you. Now, I'm wondering if you could just start off, I've given quite an extensive introduction in terms of your bio, but I'm wondering if you could just say a few little words about your story and then look at what's happening with the recent announcement.
Okay, so I am of the Tamil origin, and I'm from Tamileelam, which is the north and eastern part of Sri Lanka. And I left Sri Lanka in 1983, right after the program, as you had mentioned. And I have been in Australia for 35 years now, working tirelessly for refugees and also trying to bring awareness to the genocide that happened and continue to happen to Tamil people in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, we've actually also interviewed Renuga on this show, who's talked quite extensively as well about the encampment.
Yes, so it is 70 days at the Sydney encampment outside Mr. Tony Burke's office in Punchbowl. So it's been 70 days today. And we will continue to be here raising awareness till all the refugees who were rejected under the fast-track system are given a pathway to permanency.
So can you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on and how it's affected refugees?
So fast track was introduced by the Liberal government in 2014, and when Labor, just before Labor came into power, they announced that the fast track system is a flawed system and that should change. So we have about 8,500 refugees from all different communities who were assessed under this flawed system and who had a negative outcomes. So they're sort of in limbo at the moment, so they don't have a pathway to permanency. So that's what this encampment is about.
And it's still going. So we were speaking off air and you were saying you're going there every day. What's the vibe down there at the moment?
Yep, so I'm here every day. It is, the vibe is quite strong. The refugees are very determined to sort of sit this out till there is a positive outcome. The encampment is represented, different communities. We have Tamils, Bangladeshis, Iranians, Iraq, and Afghan people. So it's a very sort of multi-community initiative, which started in Melbourne, and then after Tony Burke got the portfolio, it moved to Sydney, and it's nationwide. So there's still an encampment in Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth.
And has there been much of a police presence there?
In Sydney, not much. There has been some issues with council and with the police, but not as much as there has been in Melbourne. We have had some issues where even if it rains, we are not allowed to go under cover. And in Sydney, it was pretty bad today, but we are not allowed to go under cover. And if it's really hot, we can't go and sort of stand anywhere. We had a tent put up, which the council asked us to take it down. So there has been some issues, but not too much, not too bad.
Yeah, last week the Doin Time show actually interviewed Nadez, an Iranian asylum seeker. Mm-hmm. I think she was an asylum seeker and is on the fast track system. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there have been a lot of problems with police and also with neo-Nazis attending that encampment.
We've had some neo-Nazi people come to our encampment, but they haven't come in large numbers. There's been one or two people, because where we are at the moment is a very sort of multicultural kind of a suburb. So we have been quite lucky in that sense, where there hasn't been, too many attacks or too many people coming, neo-Nazis coming and attacking us or, being verbally abusive.
What do you, in your view, and in I suppose in the view of the movement, mm-hmm. How do you think that neo-Nazis, how do I say, can make it destructive? They make it quite destructive, don't they, for what's happening?
I think it's very sad but when the leaders of a country or leaders of the country sort of make announcements and dehumanize refugees or dehumanize migrants, then the people who have these racist ideas or ideology think to themselves that, we have a space that we can speak out, that we can talk. So I feel that when the leaders don't sort of put out a sort of a positive vibe into the community, the negative vibe sort of takes over. So I think the politicians and the leaders of the country should take responsibility to some of the attacks or neo-Nazi people coming and feeling comfortable that they can actually come and attack an encampment.
Well, doesn't it all come from the politicians? All this neo-Nazi stuff, it kind of is a little bit of a domino effect, isn't it?
Definitely, because they feel that they can voice what they feel when the politicians themselves dehumanize refugees and call them boat people, queue jumpers, and all these really bad terms. The neo-Nazis feel that we can voice what we feel as well. There's a space for us.
Absolutely, and I think that the unfortunate incident also in Dandenong in Melbourne, Nadez was talking about how a single mother was actually hospitalised. She was knocked over.
Yes. There was a couple of attacks there, and we have had some police presence more so now after the attacks there in Sydney than we had this previously, because I have a feeling that they might have, sort of felt that there might be some attacks here as well.
Well, let's hope that that there are things are going to be addressed here, because there's been gross violations of human rights, and this neo-Nazi stunts, they're all a distraction, and we need to make sure that police are not enabling the neo-Nazis, which happens quite a lot at rallies, doesn't it?
Yes, and they should be more proactive, stopping neo-Nazis coming there instead of trying to sort of separating both the groups. They should, not let the neo-Nazis sort of come anywhere near there or feel that they can come. So I think that, like I mentioned before, I think it is really top-down effect where the politicians and the leaders of the country make the people who are racist comfortable to be able to voice their racist remarks and comments and their ideology.
Absolutely. I mean, even historically, like our show was doing a lot of coverage about Peter Dutton, making comments about Africans at one stage, like quite a few years ago now. You should be careful about Africans, and this is happening even recently now in terms of demonising the people of Gaza as well.
Exactly, and also making it sound like when you protest, and which is a right for you to be able to do that in this country, saying that it's costing too much money for the police and they should be able to stop the protest if they think that it's going to cost the police too much money. So all these kind of things are infringing on human rights and the right to protest, which is a basic right in Australia at the moment.
So hundreds of refugees and their supporters have rallied to demand the government grant permanent protection to asylum seekers who've been on temporary visas for 12 years. Can you talk a little bit more about this so-called fast-track system and how it can be improved and some of the consequences that people are suffering?
So there are cases where some children have come here when they were, 7 years old. They've gone through primary school, they've gone through high school, and they're not able to go to university because of these fast-track system and their visas, being on bridging visa, not having study rights. You have 19-year-old children who know no other country but Australia, not able to study or not being able to work. So that's one thing. And then you have other people who have come here when their children were, a couple of months old, and those children have grown up to be, 13, 14 years old now, have grown up without their fathers or their mothers. So there are many cases like this. And since Labor said that fast track is a flawed system, it should be changed, it should be addressed, and they should give these people who were denied a proper due process, they should be given a pathway to permanency.
And of course, both encampments in Melbourne and New South Wales will not stop until that happens.
Exactly. We will not stop, and it is going strong. It's in Sydney, 70 days. We've had meals provided for us, 3 meals a day by the community. We have, tea that's been provided for us by the community. We've had people come, before work, after work. We have a roster system where people sleep at night. So you have about, 15 people sleeping every night. So it is, it's still going very strong. It will not stop till a positive announcement is made saying that all these people who were denied due process will be getting a pathway to permanency.
So I'm wondering too if you could talk a little bit about the Tamil Refugee Council and some of the events that are happening there.
So Tamil Refugee Council, we amplify refugees' voices. Doesn't matter which community you come from. We also talk about the genocide that happened and is happening in Tamarulam. We have events where the peak of the genocide occurred in May, so we have rallies around that. We also have a rally outside the Sri Lankan embassy in Canberra on the 4th of February, which is our invasion day. So we have a lot of events like that where we try and bring awareness to all the genocide or all the injustices that are happening to Tamil people.
Thank you so much for coming onto the program, Kalyana. And are there any final comments before we finish?
Yes, if you have time, to the listeners, please come down to number 1 Broadway Punchbowl, right outside Tony Burke's office. We are there 24/7. We need all the support from, the community, the wider community as well. Thank you.
And also, I think that's right. It's at Docklands, isn't it? In Melbourne.
In Dockland in Melbourne and Dandenong, and then there is in Brisbane and Adelaide and Perth at the moment as well.
Very important, very powerful, and it's growing, and we need to dedicate time to asylum seekers and refugees.
Thank you very much, and we have to realise this movement is organised and run by refugees themselves. It's a very powerful movement.
It is, and it's growing. Thanks so much. Thanks a lot, and you take care. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And that was Kalyana, who is the coordinator of the Tamil Refugee Council, speaking about the encampments in both New South Wales and Melbourne, and also looking at the fast track system.
Most of us agree that we deserve to be paid for the work we do, not the number of candles on our birthday cake.
But Australia's current workplace laws allow employers to pay a lower minimum wage to someone just because they're younger.
It's an unfair and confusing system that costs young workers in Australia around $3 billion a year, and it's mostly pocketed by big multinational companies.
These junior rates are based on the unfair and outdated assumptions about people's living costs. But times have changed, and it's time the rules change too.
Boomers, millennials, Gen Z or alphas.
We may describe it differently, but we all know what fairness is.
It's time for fair wages for all ages.
For more information, go to fairwages.org.au.
Victorian Trades Hall Council is a 3CR supporter.
Now I'm harder, I'm outrun. Everything I got, it's hard won. Yes, bad luck, I'm not done. I won't stay.
side, we'd walk along to the end of Gertrude Street, and we'd tarpaul and muster for a quart of wine. Thick or thin, right or wrong, in the cold and in the heat, we'd cross over Smith Street to the end of the line. Then we'd laugh and sing, do anything to take away the pain, trying to keep it down as it first went down in Charcoal Lane. Spinning yarns and telling jokes, now the wine is tasting good, 'cause it's getting closer and closer to its end. Have a sip and roll some smokes, we'd smoke tailor-mades if we could, but we just made do with some city street blend. Then we'd all chuck in and we'd start to grin when we had enough to do it again. But if things got tight, then we had to bite for Charcoal Lane. Up Gertrude Street, we'd walk once more with just a few cents short, and we'd stop at the builders to see who we could see. Then we'd bite around until we'd score a flagon of McWilliamsport, enough to take away our misery. Then we'd all get drunk, oh so drunk, and maybe a little insane. Then we'd stagger home all alone, and the next day we'd do it again. Have a reviver in Charcoal Lane. I'm a survivor of Charcoal Lane.
This country's black future is a fire. It's the right season.
Listen back to Beyond the Bars 2024 prison broadcasts on the 3CR website, 3cr.org.au/Beyond the Bars 2024. Our all-black presenter team take you inside 6 Victorian prisons: Dame Phyllis Frost, Barwon, Fulham, Loddon, Margate and Port Phillip, to hear stories, songs, opinions and poems from Aboriginal inmates on NAIDOC Week 2024. Connecting the participants with culture and community, and to keep the fire burning, black, loud and proud. Go to 3cr.org.au/Beyond the Bars for all the details.
If you're a friend to me, I call you my brother. This country's black future is a fire.
And you're back with the Doin Time show, and it's approximately 4:49. I just wanted to read out a very short media release entitled it's from the Human Rights Law Centre, and it was on Wednesday the 2nd of October 2024, and it's entitled New South Wales Police Ban on Peaceful Protests Condemned. The Human Rights Law Centre is calling on the New South Wales Police Commissioner to drop Supreme Court applications which could stop people gathering peacefully for a pro-Palestinian rally and candlelit vigil. The New South Wales Police must protect the right of people to speak up against what is happening across Palestine, Lebanon and Israel, and respond only to those who engage in unlawful actions. Any approach that demonises and punishes thousands of people for the actions of a few is disproportionate and a breach of human rights. Earlier this year, the Human Rights Law Centre's protest in peril and a report found that the right to protest has been under attack by governments and institutions over the last 20 years. Over 140 organisations have signed the Declaration of Our Right to Protest, calling on governments across Australia to protect the right to protest. Last year, the New South Wales Supreme Court found that parts of draconian anti-protest laws enacted by the New South Wales government were unconstitutional. Quotes attributed to David Medjugorje, senior lawyer at the Human Rights Law Centre. Our right to protest is fundamental to our democracy and must be protected. While New South Wales Police may seek to restrict or ban the protests, they must be able to show that these actions are both necessary and proportionate in line with international human rights and constitutional standards. Overly broad restrictions on our right to get together peacefully must not be New South Wales Police's first response. Instead, authorities must focus on facilitating these rights and freedoms. Blanket bans on protests are disproportionate. Any limitations must be the least restrictive possible and based on an individualised assessment of the conduct of participants, not on assumptions or generalisations about the event. Restricting and prohibiting protests should only ever be a measure of last resort. New South Wales Police must prioritise less intrusive measures and consider allowing the protest to go ahead. If there is poor behaviour by individuals, then this should be dealt with accordingly while allowing everyone else to peacefully protest. International law is clear: peaceful assemblies must not be used for advocating national, racial or religious hatred. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia and violence have no place in Australia, and there are laws to address these. However, action could focus on the individual perpetrators, not punishing the entire protest or discouraging participation. So I'm hoping to have David on again, and we did actually speak with David a couple of weeks ago now in regards to other matters. It's approximately 4:52 and we're nearing the end of our show. Just wanted to also thank our guests for coming onto the show, thanking Commissioner Hunter and also Kalyana from the Tamil Refugee Council. And the Doin Time show has been historically responsible in many ways for reading out articles such as these for people in prison that are unable to read or write. And although there are more computers in cells, it is still extremely important to be able to look at literature reviews and also running commentary on issues that are happening for marginalised communities.
Welcome back. It's time again for Done by Law's legendary Trivia Night. Come along for your annual opportunity to catch up with like-minded folks in the Community Legal Centre and beyond. And try your luck at taking home all of the glorious glory. The date for the event is Friday the 18th of October. Doors open at 6:30 and trivia starts at 7 sharp. The venue is Richmond Town Hall, 333 Bridge Road, Richmond. Tickets are full fee, $40, concession $20, and First Nations folk free. All drinks and dinner are BYO. Go to humanitix.com and search for Done by Law for all the details and to book your tickets. The Done by Law Trivia Night, Friday the 18th of October. See you there.
Stand in solidarity with Palestine this Sunday.
Hi, it's Nasser Mashni from Palestine Remembered, Australia's only dedicated show on Palestine. Join me every Saturday morning at 9:30 and very importantly, get along to our rallies. Sunday, 12 o'clock, State Library. Join us.
We have to mobilise to show our support for Palestine. 12 p.m, State Library, this Sunday.
Rally to demand freedom and justice for Palestine. No war on Gaza.
Free Palestine Melbourne is a 3CR supporter.
And it's approximately 4:55 and we're definitely nearing the end of our show, and just wanted to play that announcement to really encourage people to rock up to the regular Sunday Palestine rallies. It's really important. We're going to be leaving you pretty soon, and stay tuned every Monday 4 to 5 for the Doin Time show. And we're going to be going out now with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella by the Rumpy Band. And stay tuned every Monday. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Stay strong and take care of each other.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast. If you found it valuable, please consider donating or subscribing to support independent community radio. To find out more, go to 3cr.org.au.